Hey everyone, today I wanted to talk about and review The Night House starring Rebecca Hall. I saw this last Thursday and I very much so enjoyed it, and it is my favorite movie of the year so far, and I wanted to talk about it and kind of give my recommendation for it for anyone who may have been on the fence about seeing it. I hear it's not doing so well. I think it definitely deserves a watch. I do have to say that the experience for me was a little bit difficult to fully get myself immersed into, because I really wanted to just focus very heavily on it because it is a psychological horror, and I really love those types of movies. But a group of teenage girls made that very difficult, who came in 10 minutes late and almost ruined the movie for me. But anyway, this video will have very light spoilers late in it. I will warn you before I get to that. I will only talk about what was already shown in the trailer before I get into that, so don't worry about anything like that. If you have seen the trailer, then I'm not going to tell you anything you won't already know. But if you haven't seen the trailer, I do recommend watching the movie or without watching the trailer, or even watching a review if you haven't so far, just because I think that it is it's almost like a slow moving thriller with horror mixed in. But I do really like that. These are my kind of movies, and I'd say so far this is my favorite movie, so I really wanted to talk about it. So this movie, like I said, stars Rebecca Hall, and she plays a recent widow because her husband had gone out to the lake and committed suicide. You find out that he built this house on this lakeside for them, and she now lives in it by herself, and she discovers that there is a house identical to it, but almost like reversed across the lake, and she's very interested in why this is, and she finds out that her husband has built it. She starts experiencing very strange phenomenon going on in her house. You see in the trailer there's a trail of bloody footprints coming from the water straight up to her, and it's kind of whispering to her and talking to her and things like that. And so you see she's struggling with alcohol to try and cope with it. She's very honest and blunt about her husband's death to people in this, which I really liked. And you really get the kind of psychological damage that she's going through from experiencing a loss such as strong as her husband committing suicide out of what seemingly was nowhere. And so that's kind of what the main plot of the movie is. I don't want to go too far or too much further than that without talking about light spoilers. I'm not going to straight up tell you everything that happens, but I just really wanted to give a quick review for people who haven't seen it or may have just seen the trailer, and tell you that I think it is definitely worth seeing. If you're into these kind of movies that are the slow psychological thriller horror with a little bit of supernatural horror in there, and it does have some really great visuals, especially at the end of it, that were really great. You get to see kind of the change in colors of the atmosphere, like the moon. You see in the poster, and you probably did see in the trailer. I can't exactly remember, but there's a scene where the moon is like blood red in the background, and it looks really cool. But yeah, so if you have seen this movie, I would love to hear your thoughts on it. And if you haven't, I hope I've convinced you with the very little that I have told you to go see it, or at least check it out at some point, because I do feel like with it not doing so well in the theaters, we might not get movies like this, and these are my kind of movies that I really enjoy seeing, and I hope that these kind of movies come out more than the ones like The Conjuring and I don't know, I'm trying to think, like, not that A Quiet Place was bad, but it's not my kind of horror. I did like it, and I do actually think that is one of the better movies of the year, but I really like going to experience horror movies like this that make you really think about what is going on and get into some very heavy topics such as depression, suicide, things that most people can really relate with. Everybody on a even life basis, I guess you could say, deals with sadness, and then even depression some people struggle with, and this movie gets into that heavily, and also alcohol abuse, which you see. And I just think that movies like this are much more, I guess, horror related, because you can relate to them. They're real life situations, whereas like The Conjuring, Quiet Place are more like, you take yourself to an alternate version of reality, where this actually something like this in a way could happen, because this is all very within the character's mind. So if I were to give a rating for those people, I'd say it's an A minus, maybe B plus, somewhere in between there. I don't know if A minus I feel like is a little strong. B plus is a little too low. So if there's something in between there, that's what I'd give it. So so now moving into the spoilers, and not anything too heavy, just very small details I want to talk about that were things I did and didn't like. So again, going to the things I did like the visuals. There's a scene towards the end where the moon and the, like, I guess dream reality of the moon are coming together, and they're just sitting like almost looking like eyes, and the moon, you know, being like white or yellow, whatever, and then the other moon being like red. Looks really cool. And then whenever you see you know, this play out, this scene, and then she's on the lake, and it's kind of, she's being forced out there with whatever it is that is taking her out there. Again, I don't want to tell you too much, but the thing that I guess my biggest problem with the movie is actually the very ending of it. I feel like doesn't kind of, it has somewhat of a conclusive ending, but at the same time you're like, well, that didn't really solve anything. Whereas if it had gone the direction that I was hoping it had, and it almost did, then we would have gotten an ending. It wouldn't have been maybe the happiest or the best ending for all of the characters involved, but I would have still preferred it to this ending that kind of feels like it tried to go make everything happy and maybe some sort of positive outcome for what was a very dreadful, you know, movie about depression, suicide, and feelings of just, you know, feeling emptiness. And that is something that this character strongly goes through. Is just throughout this movie, she says that, you know, she was the one that dealt with this heavy feeling of depression and loneliness, and if any one of them, between her or her husband, had been the one to do something like this, she always thought it would have been her, that he was her beacon of light, or her light at the end of the tunnel. And now that that's gone, and the note that he left kind of makes her feel that, you know, everything that she had hoped for, maybe he had almost convinced her that there is something of life after death. And now that that is almost gone, with him committing suicide like that. And so when we have an ending kind of like the one we have, yes, it makes it feel hopeful, but I like the way it almost went, where it would have gone and where it would have further driven home the dread ending, or the bad ending if it was like a video game or something. But yeah, and then there's kind of this there's a section in the movie that kind of doesn't go horror. It does have a lot of detail, or I guess I should say it has a lot of meaning as it goes on, but at the time it feels a little bit slowed down, where she's kind of finding these like this voodoo doll, and she starts talking with some woman that was, you know, that met her husband, and it just feels like it slows down a little bit. And upon rewatching this movie, I feel like I might want to like get through that a little bit faster. And that was kind of one of the other things, is I don't know how I will buy this movie, but I don't know how much I'll want to watch it time and time again, because the middle section really is about details leading to the ending. And some of it feels like it wasn't quite explained well enough, because while I did understand it, it kind of makes it feel, I don't know, like some of it's a little bit confusing. Like, I think I know what that is and what its purpose was. And a lot of it is straight up explained at the end, but there's a little bit that's like, so why was this so heavily like shown if it's not really that big of a deal? So maybe upon rewatching it, I'll fully grasp it, and I do think I understand it, but I'm not 100% on it, I guess. So that's my opinion right now. Like I said, it would be like an A minus, B plus, somewhere in there. I'm leaning more towards A minus, because these are the type of movies I do really enjoy. It might not be for everyone, just because it is kind of not your typical horror movie where, you know, it's straight horror. This is like, it does have jump scares, but they're not jump scares like, you know, in your face, just like something that doesn't have a purpose. This has meaningful jump scares that are more like to scare the character, and they have meaning to the character. Like, she imagines, you see it in the trailer, a gunshot going off, and she's looking out to the lake, and she imagines her husband, the sound of her husband killing himself, and it's just like she jumps. And so for you, that'd be a jump scare. Um, None of it really got me or my friend, but those teenage girls, like I mentioned in front of me, screaming the whole time. So, yeah, for me, that experience with those girls, I'm looking forward to watching this movie again, where it's just me sitting in a room with nobody talking and just getting myself immersed into this type of movie, which was what I wanted in the first place. And this is why I generally don't like going to see movies anymore, because of people like this. And if you're one of those people, please stop. I hate going to see movies because the past like 4 movies I've seen just got ruined by teenagers. Old I saw, just screaming teenagers. Godzilla vs. Kong. Teenagers got the cops called on them. Missed the first 45 minutes of the movie. They didn't rewind it, and then there was something in between. I saw it by myself. The group of people down there arguing and yelling. It's just irritating. So, yeah. So I'm probably going to watch the one movie, Reminiscence, by myself on HBO Max. Like, I really do actually enjoy HBO Max. I do work at a theater, and you'd think I'd be in support of that, but I kind of hate it. I kind of hate going to the theater now because of this, and that shouldn't be the case. But either way, I do recommend this movie if you have to watch it, which right now this is the only option in theaters. I just do recommend seeing it in a time where maybe teenagers won't be able to see it, because they will probably ruin it for you like they almost did for me. So thanks for watching. If you have seen it, let me know what you thought of the movie. And if you haven't seen it, I hope I've convinced you to maybe go check it out. And just let me know your overall thoughts on this review or anything like that. So thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.